good day. My name is Eden LaChance, Plains Cree. I'd like to welcome each and every one of you today. Before we began, we had a smudging ceremony to kind of cleanse and bless the area. For us, it's a way we start any day, any presentation, is by acknowledging the Creator, or how we say, Amamutaimo Simanto, something that created everything for us to acknowledge in a good way. So I want to welcome each and every one of you to this beautiful presentation.
Hello and good morning. I'm Tim Spellacy, the past Honorary Chief Factor for the Fort Edmonton Foundation. I want to welcome you to our virtual Honorary Chief Factors Breakfast. What you just saw was a spectacular performance by the Running Thunder Dancers in front of Fort Edmonton's new Indigenous Peoples Experience. I'm standing here in front of the brand new front entry plaza to Fort Edmonton Park. This is one of the many exciting new areas of the park that we'll be taking you through this morning. Now, at this time, we acknowledge that we are on the traditional land of Treaty 6 territory and the traditional Métis homeland of Region 4. We acknowledge the diverse Indigenous peoples whose ancestors' footsteps have marked this territory for centuries, from First Nations, Métis, Inuit, and now settlers from around the world. We do this to create awareness that we are all treaty members and to show recognition and respect for Indigenous peoples and the traditional territories on which we live and work. The Fort Edmonton Honorary Chief Factor is a title that has been awarded to community members for more than 45 years, and I was honored to have this position for the past couple of years. In fact, my father was involved with the Fort Edmonton Foundation about 50 years ago, so I'm kind of keeping up the family tradition, and our family has a lot of passion for Fort Edmonton and for the foundation. Last year, Chief Factor's breakfast was canceled, and I was not able to host you at this fun-filled event that usually happens right here at the park. You would have seen me transfer this esteemed role to our new Honorary Chief Factor, Aaron Paquette. As you may know, Aaron is the City Councillor for Ward 4, also known as Ward Dene. He is a lifelong Edmontonian and a parent raising his family in Ward 4. He's also an advocate for building strong and healthy communities, and he is very excited to be the ambassador of Fort Edmonton Park and an ambassador for the work the foundation does to fundraise for capital projects and community programs. Today, our Chief Factor Aaron is excited to host our annual breakfast and to welcome special guests, including Mayor Don Iveson and key supporters of the Fort Edmonton Foundation. We also invite you to stay tuned for a very special announcement of a brand new initiative that will benefit children and families with low income or accessibility challenges to Fort Edmonton Park. And now I'm very happy to introduce our Honorary Chief Factor, Aaron Paquette. Enjoy the morning. Aaron?
Thanks, Tim, and welcome everyone. As the Honorary Chief Factor of Fort Edmonton Park, I welcome you to the first ever virtual edition of the Chief Factor's Breakfast. I wish you could be here with me today. I'm here at Fort Edmonton Park on the steps of Rowand House. This building is named after John Rowand, who's the first Chief Factor of Fort Edmonton. Now, some of you may be wondering what a Chief Factor is. Well, back in the 1800s, the Chief Factor was the highest ranking commissioned officer in the Hudson's Bay Company. John Rowand was a fur trader for the Hudson's Bay Company and became chief factor in 1839, in charge of Fort Edmonton for nearly 50 years. That'll put some gray in your head. Today, Fort Edmonton Park honors the time of the fur trade, the indigenous, the settlers, and how our region developed into a prosperous city. From pre to post-colonization, the park leads you through the fascinating eras and stories of how Edmonton came to be. Now, for me, what this history means is best summed up in the words of Thomas King. We're stories. In fact, we're nothing else but stories. And the narrative that we tell to each other, to our children, and what we pull from the past are the things that will help us to navigate the uncertain tides and currents of the future. And that's why Fort Edmonton is so important to me. To honor the role of Chief Factor, the Fort Edmonton Foundation has been appointing an honorary Chief Factor for almost 50 years. As an ambassador of Fort Edmonton and preserving our history, I am truly honored to be serving as the Chief Factor because I feel that what we give to future generations is going to be absolutely incredible. They will understand where we come from, and because of that, they'll know where we're going. And the really, really wonderful thing about all of this is that we help to write this history. We help to share this story. And through our combined efforts, we create a narrative and a path that we can all follow together. I accepted this role because I felt that as Chief Factor Honorary here in Fort Edmonton Park, I could bring a Métis perspective, an Indigenous perspective, to a role that really talks about who we are as a combined people and really talks about the history of Fort Edmonton and how it developed and brought community to all of us. One of my favorite memories growing up was coming to Fort Edmonton with my family. You see, we grew up in poverty and we didn't have a lot, but we did have love and we did have our family's history. And so coming to Fort Edmonton to share that as a family was really meaningful. But when you're a kid, the way I was, you walk into something like Fort Edmonton and the buildings are huge, the fields are big, everything is grand and amazing and new and startling. And those images and those experiences were really burned into me. And for me, helped me develop a deep love for our city and a deep love for our community and for the people that helped make all of this possible. And I remember as a kid imagining the amazing adventures and the day-to-day lives of the people. And I'll tell you, there was nothing like it. And without it, I don't know if I would be the Edmontonian I am today. But because of it, not only do I understand our wonderful development as a people, but it also gives me great hope and great excitement about what the future holds. And boy, does it hold a lot. This park was built by the citizens and volunteers and given to the city as a gift. It's up to us to continue that legacy and support the expansion and to encourage the next generations to support this park. The government has done their part, so please, be generous. After a 3-year and $165 million expansion project, Fort Edmonton is ready to reveal a truly incredible and immersive experience. I'm so excited to be part of this historical moment. You'll see this spectacular building behind me. This is the jewel of Fort Edmonton's expansion, the Indigenous Peoples Experience. You will soon be able to take a journey through history leading up to today, exploring life through the diversity of First Nations and Métis peoples, and learn the beautiful, inspiring, and courageous stories of Indigenous people in our region. You see, one of the things that I was asked when I was visiting a school, a principal said, "What have we lost by not knowing the history of Indigenous people?" what have you lost as an Indigenous person? And for me, I reflected on that and realized it wasn't just what Indigenous people might have lost by losing some of that history, but it's what all of our children might have lost. And this is a chance to bring that back, to bring back that beautiful diversity, that beautiful history, that beautiful connectedness, so we can all learn from each other. Over the past 50 years, there have been numerous contributors who have funded the rebuild and expansion of the park, including all 3 levels of government, the Fort Edmonton Foundation, Rotarians, businesses, and individuals. We gratefully acknowledge the tremendous contribution the City of Edmonton has provided to the park in the way of land, infrastructure, and park management. Here to bring greetings from the city is Mayor Don Iveson.
Well, thank you, Aaron. And good morning and greetings to all of you who are tuning into this celebration of what's been done and what's yet to come to enhance the treasure that is Fort Edmonton Park. Councillor and Honorary Chief Factor Aaron Paquette just shared an exciting sneak peek into the park, and it is exciting. Fort Edmonton Park brings our local history to life on our land, in built form, and through the stories, past and present, and so much more. Now, I have to say, eyes are going to pop, jaws are going to drop when visitors walk through the gates. We already offered visitors a full day of fun, activity, and education. With the new Indigenous peoples experience, the enhanced midway and exhibition, and the updated entrance and amenities will only build on that. So as we celebrate with the Fort Edmonton Foundation this morning, I also want to celebrate the foundation itself. In 1967, 4 local Rotary clubs came together to construct a memorial of Fort Edmonton on city-provided land as part of a Canadian Centennial project. And just 2 short years later, Rotarians and other community supporters saw the potential for much more to happen with the project and formed the Fort Edmonton Foundation. Now here we are, just over 50 years later, and Fort Edmonton Park is now the largest living history museum in all of Canada. And the foundation, still supported by Rotarians, continues to lead us forward with vision, with charity, and incredible community collaboration. So as Edmontonians, we are fortunate to have tremendous leaders who ensure an ever-evolving, authentically accurate experience. Generous partners in the Confederacy of Treaty 6 First Nations and the Métis Nation of Alberta, without whom the new Indigenous peoples experience simply would not exist in the form in which you see it here. And the foundation not only focused on enhancements to the park, but also on making sure that as many people as possible benefit from the investments and enjoy the experience. The reopening of the fort this summer is a gift to our city, an affordable, fun experience that will be welcomed by many after a particularly hard year. And history, stories, and cultural teachings past and present that will have a lasting impact on visitors and our city. Now, I've been coming to the park since I was a little kid. I love the streetcar. My kids, I can't wait to show them the Midway. But there are so many people who I can't wait to show the Indigenous people's experience. I am tremendously proud. I'm very moved, actually, by what we've accomplished here in honor of Indigenous peoples, past and present, and exciting future on this shared land. And so, once again, congratulations to everyone on this new chapter for the park and on exciting new chapters to come and those already in the making, thanks to you.
Thank you, Mayor Iveson and the City of Edmonton. Fort Edmonton is a gift to Edmonton's history, one that we can share with Edmontonians and visitors from our province, country, and around the world. What some people don't know is that the City of Edmonton is limited by their mandate and budget. It cannot provide funding for capital projects. This means that the building of Fort Edmonton and continued expansion, such as adding the train, midway, hangar, and many other historical buildings, has to be funded by the community. Rotary did just that. Over 50 years ago, they were key in championing the rebuild of this park. In fact, if it wasn't for Rotary, there would be no park today. Soon after the park was rebuilt, the Fort Edmonton Foundation was created, and for more than 5 decades of passion, energy, and fundraising efforts, they have made the historical aspects of this park a reality. And that's why we're here today. And I'm so happy that you are watching virtually. This is a citizen's project and a gift for all of us. our grandparents and parents, our children, grandchildren, and their grandchildren. We are here because of our connection to Fort Edmonton Park, and everybody seems to have their own personal story about the park. Maybe you were part of building the park or worked here. Did you get married or attend a wedding at the park? Enjoyed a first date at the Midway? Visited on a school field trip? I can go on for days. The stories and memories that people have of the park are endless. I invite everyone to consider your own connection to Fort Edmonton Park and to consider how your participation and generosity today will play a part in creating a connection for someone else in the future.
Fort Edmonton Park is just such a gem in our city, and my family and I, we just love to spend an afternoon there. It's one thing to learn about history in books. It's quite another to actually walk through it, and I think Fort Edmonton Park does a really good job at, providing information and telling us about history in a very interactive way. I know the kids love it. They love to learn about the history of the fur trade, of Indigenous culture, of the settlers. So we're just very lucky, and it's just an amazing park. I think it's so important to support Fort Edmonton Park because we need to preserve history. We need to teach the younger generations about the past and where they came from, our culture, and what better way to do it than through this interactive world that we get to step into, which is Fort Edmonton Park.
Tansei, I'm Ken Braget, founder and president of True North Valve Solutions, the presenting sponsor for today's breakfast. Supporting the Fort Edmonton Park Foundation and the Indigenous people's experience is extremely important to me. As a proud member of the Métis Nation of Alberta, I feel this center will best represent the true history of our Indigenous people. From the struggles they faced to the strength that was required to survive and maintain their culture, this place will have it all. I appreciate everyone for attending today's event, and I look forward to seeing you down at Fort Edmonton Park real soon. Hi, hi.
Hi, I'm Chris Chung, president of Hidden Story Productions and executive producer for the media and content of the Indigenous Peoples Experience. You've caught glimpses of this beautiful cultural center, but now let me take you a bit behind the scenes to show you some of the depth and care that has gone into creating this space. Every text, every artifact, every story and song comes from an Indigenous voice and perspective. From the director's vision to the dozens of elders, historians, cultural educators, and community members we've had deep conversations with. Art and art direction from world-renowned artists like David Garneau and Christy Belcourt, as well as dozens of local master artisans. So thank you from the bottom of our heart. We can't wait for generations of Canadians and people from around the world to visit the IPE.
Good morning. My name is Clayton Tiedemann, Divisional Vice President, Construction and Operations for EPCOR Drainage Services, and a proud member of the Fort Edmonton Foundation Board of Directors. The work of the Fort Edmonton Foundation is to help enhance and preserve this jewel, which tells the story of Edmonton, so that future generations can also learn about and experience those stories and history. It's through the generous support of individuals like yourselves and our many corporate sponsors, including EPCOR, the company I work for, that the Foundation is able to continue this work. The Foundation's most recent campaign, Light the Midway, has just reached its $1 million goal to light the 20,000 bulbs at our historic Midway. But now, we're looking to the future. With the planned reopening this summer, the Foundation will now focus on accessibility to the park, to ensure Edmonton's history and stories can be shared with those who have challenges, either geographically or financially, in visiting Fort Edmonton Park. I would now like to introduce Jason Clarke, President of the Fort Edmonton Foundation, who will be revealing the new Fort Edmonton Foundation Cares initiative. Jason, over to you.
Hi, I'm Jason Clarke, President of the Fort Edmonton Foundation. So much of my understanding of the world around me started right here in Fort Edmonton Park. I remember being amazed and inspired by the scents and sounds and the touch of real history. Learning more about our city. How did it develop? Who built it? And what was the impact and role of the Indigenous population? I was inspired to be a part of history and to be an engaged member of my school and my community. And all of this is why I'm so excited to reveal the Fort Edmonton Foundation Cares initiative. Fort Edmonton Foundation Cares will be creating accessible, responsive education for sharing. This initiative will focus directly on expanding the ability of the Fort Edmonton Park experience to families, schools, and communities that may be experiencing physical, social, or economic barriers that limit their access to the park. Many in the community are facing tough economic times, and that limits their access to visiting the park because of costs. From admissions, meals, rides, to simply the cost of transportation for those that are coming from further away. The Fort Edmonton Foundation Cares initiative will bridge these gaps by providing those in need with an admission and an inclusive experience at Fort Edmonton Park. We will be bringing you more information about the initiative, which will launch in 2022. Throughout the rest of this year, we will be focused on raising funds for the initiative. So your donation of just $50 will grant a full park experience for a student or youth. And with your generous support, you can make a world of difference by bringing recreational and educational opportunities to children, youth, families, and schools where there is no other support. Of course, this initiative could not come to fruition without our partners at Fort Edmonton Park Management Company. As the park manager and operator, their entire team works tirelessly to ensure the park delivers an experience that is world-class for every visitor that walks through the gates. They are more than ready for guests to come and rediscover an endless adventure at the park this summer. To tell you more, I'm pleased to welcome my friend Darren, President and CEO of Fort Edmonton Management Company.
Hello everyone, I'm Darren Dalgleish of Fort Edmonton Management Company, and I'm standing on the train platform in the newly enhanced Fort Edmonton Park, Canada's largest open-air museum. This year people can expect new immersive experiences, endless outdoor adventure, and bringing friends and families together after being apart for a long time. We're opening about 40% larger, including an expanded midway with a games alley, a fun house, a cabinet of curios. We've got a brand new front entry plaza too, a beautifully designed open concept plaza with an indoor-outdoor cafe and retail gift shop area. The brand new 30,000 square foot Indigenous Peoples experience, telling the stories of the customs and traditions of First Nations and Métis communities who've occupied these lands for centuries, and various themed nature trails surrounding the IP to encourage soft adventure and connection with nature. There's lots of upgrades woven throughout the park that will be visible to everyone this year. And we have a new approach to customer experience and interactivity because we believe that guests should choose their own adventure and be an integral part of that adventure. Fort Edmonton Park is a cherished experience by tens of thousands of people every year. But the truth is, not everyone who wants to come is able to come. Because of this, FEMCO's strategic priority of accessibility exists. We put a great deal of value on efforts that help close the access gap. This is Canada's largest open-air museum. It's the story of this land, of this place, and everyone should be able to enjoy it. FEMCO is proud to support the Fort Edmonton Foundation Cares program because it is designed to help the members of our community who don't have the financial means to access Fort Edmonton Park. Programs like these help make our community stronger, more connected. Having a premier cultural tourism attraction is half the battle, but the other half is connecting it with the community and beyond. This program goes a long way toward the latter half. Edmontonians have an opportunity to give back, support something that has the potential to impact many families and individuals, and ultimately make a better community. Supporting initiatives that allow access to experience cultural spaces is everyone's calling. These experiences can change lives, captivate minds, and they educate the future. Thank you, and I'll see you in July.
Good morning, everyone. As we gather virtually to attend this year's Chief Factors Breakfast, I would like to begin by acknowledging that I speak to you from the ancestral lands of the Coast Salish peoples, including the territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. As Trans Mountain's Director of Indigenous Relations, I'm proud to be supporting Fort Edmonton Foundation. For more than 11 years, I have personally met with over 150 Indigenous communities along the Pipeline Waterway, from Edmonton to the West Coast, including communities along the marine shipping corridor. Only by listening can we truly understand what people care about. During our conversations with communities, we have come to learn that the safety and well-being of community members and the environment are always at the forefront. As a federal crown corporation, Trans Mountain continues to build upon its more than 65 years of experience delivering operational and safety excellence through our oil pipeline system. Fort Edmonton Park is actually situated on Trans Mountain's pipeline existing right-of-way and very near to the expansion project corridor. Trans Mountain values the strong relationship it has with the City of Edmonton. In the past, Trans Mountain and the city have worked collaboratively around this historic site, and we're excited for events such as this to continue to build our relationship with the City of Edmonton. As you may know, construction work on the Trans Mountain expansion project is well underway along the pipeline route and at facilities throughout Alberta and BC. We are proud to share that as of April 30th, 2021, there were approximately 8,150 people working on the project. This year, we'll see peak construction for the project, which means thousands of people working at hundreds of work sites. Trans Mountain is prioritizing and maximizing Indigenous, local, and regional hiring to the greatest extent possible. Today, there are approximately 1,280 Indigenous workers that have worked on the expansion project, over half of whom live in communities directly along the pipeline corridor. As construction continues in Edmonton and Alberta, we remain committed to creating opportunity for all those communities within which we operate, and are especially proud of the partnerships we've achieved with Indigenous communities. Trans Mountain is honored to gather virtually with you today in support of the Fort Edmonton Foundation, a charity that has been operating for over 50 years, dedicating to preserving Edmonton's history and ensuring it has a sustainable future. With that said, Trans Mountain is excited to announce that we will make a $10,000 donation to Fort Edmonton Foundation from our community investment program in support of the newly named Fort Edmonton Foundation Cares initiative. Thank you to everyone at the foundation, all the volunteers for the amazing and tireless work you do, and thank you to all the donors who support this worthy cause. I look forward to visiting the expanded park and celebrating with you all in person one day soon.
Thank you, Trans Mountain. What an amazing opportunity. Thank you so much for your generous support of Fort Edmonton. We are so pleased to have you part of this inaugural event and the launch of this important initiative. For today's virtual experience, we are so fortunate to have many generous supporters who have gone above and beyond to make the Chief Factors Breakfast happen during these challenging times. On behalf of the Fort Edmonton Foundation, I would like to recognize the following organizations who have generously supported us today, including True North Valve Solutions, Global Edmonton, 630 Ched, Kissin' Country, Imperial Oil for sponsoring our Indigenous performers, Canadian Strategy Group for sponsoring the breakfast meals you have enjoyed, and Hidden Story for today's video production. We would also like to acknowledge our fur trader sponsors. Without all your support, we could not have made today possible. I would also like to thank our staff and volunteers at Fort Edmonton Foundation for your dedication and passion for this charity. Thank you, Bridges Catering, for your support to coordinate the meals and delivery to make this a true breakfast experience. With this advanced support from early donors and sponsors, we have raised half of our goal of $50,000 so far. Today, with your support, we hope to complete this goal. We would love to see all kids and families enjoy Fort Edmonton Park, just like you. My vision is for this new fund to have a full-time coordinator who will share that message with funders and supporters like you. Together we can make a difference and help open up our amazing new park experience to many who would otherwise not be able to afford to come to a place like this. If you have any questions or would like to discuss your gift with us, please connect with us at any time. We can be reached through our office numbers located on the website. Please give generously, and remember that every contribution is eligible for a charitable tax receipt. And for those who make a gift to establish this new fund, will be the new charter members for this initiative. You will find your names commemorated on our website to inspire others to give to this fund each year. We welcome all gifts. If you are able, please consider making a monthly pledge. This is one of the best ways for us as a charity to create a sustainable fund like this. Fort Edmonton Park has come a long way in 50 years. I invite you to imagine how your support will impact the way visitors, young and old, will engage with history. You can make a difference in the life of a child, a family, or an entire school community. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for our first ever, and hopefully last, virtual edition of the Chief Factors Breakfast. I hope we will all be able to gather and celebrate at the park for the next Chief Factors Breakfast. Your support makes a huge difference in ensuring Edmonton's story is remembered, shared, and celebrated with everyone. The Fort Edmonton Foundation Cares program is the key to reaching our next generation and making the park accessible for those who otherwise may not be able to visit. Thank you for making your donation. You are making an historical difference.